All right, here we are back at it again. So here we are, part 2 of making this Serbian chef knife with the Keyhole integral bolster. And right now this is it's an ugly chunk of steel. It's got a lot of work to do to get it up to speed. So the first things I need to do are refine the profile and then get rid of this ugly mass right up here at the top. I'm still not exactly sure what I'm doing with the shape up here, but I'll figure it out. And then I'm just gonna get rid of some of this forge scale and then get this down to, closer to the thickness that it'll be when it's finished. And then the hard part for me is going to be when I get to this bolster, because I really need this bolster to be perfectly square with the rest of the knife. And because I don't have a mill, it's going to be a little bit harder. So I think what I'm going to do is, once I get the blade flat, I'll put it on some 1, 2, 3 blocks and scribe some lines. I'll find a center line on here, and then I'll kind of measure out to where I'm going to be and scribe lines all the way around. And then I'll just have to grind down to those lines and hopefully keep it nice and square. So for now, I'm going to head over to the grinder and try to get this cleaned up just a little bit. So, boop, here we go. And first things first, it's been a little cold up here in northern Utah and all my buckets are frozen. So I need something to keep the dust down. So I'll put a little water in this grinding bucket, and then my cooling container is frozen and all that. It's actually warmed up quite a bit, which is nice because it was getting pretty cold up here. So, all right, good to go there. And I'm going to put on a slightly worn 36 grit. If I can find one. There we go. So I've been using these, I guess I can't say I've been using them. I mean, I have, but I bought a couple of these incinerator belts that are like 18 bucks a pop. And they're supposed to last forever, and they're so amazing. And they are pretty good, but I don't know if they're $18 good. They really don't seem to last too much longer than regular ceramic belts, but they definitely do last longer. But I don't know really if it's $18 longer. And got to change my hat to my grinding hat, and then get my PPE, because I don't really want to be breathing in more dust than I need to. So before I do that, because I'm not going to be talking, here we go. I'm going to take this, grind it down, get some of this forge scale off, shape, do a little profiling, try to get this choil area kind of cleaned up. Like I said, I don't know what I want to do with it yet. A lot of times when I do this stuff, it's just, I make changes as I go, see things that I might want better, or that I might want to do differently, I guess. So anyway, here we go. Let me get this on and we'll start going. I don't have my platen tightened down, so things are getting a little wonky. There we go, back at it. So I don't know if you can see here, but I did have some cold shuts in there. It's because the billet was a little weird. It had a seam kind of like right down the middle of the billet because it wasn't forging the same all the way down. But this will be easy to get off. Won't be too big of a problem. Gotta throw some gloves on because my fingers are a little cold. Okay, while grinding the profile, so I had some cold shuts on the top here that I knew I was going to have, and I ground those out. But when I got back here, I'm not entirely sure if you can see that, but I have what I thought was a cold shut that runs from here to here. So I was trying to get that out, but then when I ground this back area, I saw cold shut from here to here. So what that tells me is somehow, I couldn't even tell you how, I got a crack in there that's basically through here. I don't know if it's a crack or if it just never welded together. So I have two options. I can take the riskier route and try to heat this up and see if I can get that forge welded back together. I mean, maybe that's just a cold shut here and a cold shut there. I don't know, but if I keep grinding, then I'm going to be way more narrow than I want to be. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this thinner and then heat this up and push this side back into the middle. Luckily it's along the edge, so I mean it's going to be thin anyway. So I'm going to do a little more grinding to see if I can get that out, just a little bit. If I can't, I'm going to grind this whole section off and then, like I said, heat it back up and push it over. Okay, it was definitely a crack in there. You can still see it up in here, but you can see I've ground that down a little bit. So now I just got to heat this up and push this that direction so I can get this back into the middle. All right, here we go again. Okay, should just need a couple little taps. Get that back centered. And that is pretty much all we needed. I hope. Let me do that one more time. So because this is a random pattern, I hope it's random pattern, that shouldn't mess with anything as far as the Damascus pattern goes. Okay, oh yeah, I think that's just perfect. Probably can't see, but there you go. Push that right back into the middle. Okay, I've got a nice rough grind on this thing. So what I need to do is get this bolster square with the blade so that I can drill a hole through it to start the keyhole. And basically if this is not square with the blade, if the bolster's not square with the blade, when I drill the hole, it's going to drill at an angle, and then one side is going to be centered and the other side is going to be off center. So I'm going to do my best to get everything nice and square. So I've got this sitting on some 1, 2, 3 blocks, and I'm gonna try to get this. I'm just gonna eyeball this, really. I'm not gonna get too crazy with like perfect centering. So that looks pretty good. That's a good center line right there. Let me get the back side. Should be good there. Now, my handle width, or my handle width, or thickness, if you want to call it, that's where I'm gonna, just a little proud of that, that's where I'm gonna go with this. Actually, changing my mind. I'm just going to go as thick as I can possibly go. And then once I get down to the shaping of the handle, that's when I'll take the thickness down and worry about all that. So I'm just going to go up as much as possible. And since this side's a little bit wider than this side, I'm going to, just mimic that underneath. I'll draw those lines all the way around. So that way, when I take this down, I can match the lines all the way around, and it should be square because it's sitting on these 1, 2, 3 blocks. We'll see how this works out. So I'm going to move this to 0, and then move this up as far as I can. So 100, 200. Let's see where 300's here. See 350. I think 350 might be a, come on. 350 might be a good spot here. Yep. So we'll go 350. And then we'll basically just mimic that the other direction. So there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 50. There we go. And then we'll just draw this line. Same thing on the other side. And then right here, I've got my 2 lines right here. And on the back side, I've got my 2 lines there. So now I just have to grind this so that I hit this line on the back side and hit these lines on the front side. Then we should be nice and square with the blade. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I squared this up, and then I did a little work on the spine side of it as well. And so now I just want to Draw my center line back on here, and I'm kind of working on the thickness. I've decided I'm just going to go with a wah style handle just to make the handle a little more simple so I don't have to figure out shapes and where center is going to be. So we're just going to go straight, octagonal, and then should be good to go from there. So I messed up this center line. It's not quite center anymore. Go up just a hair. Try that. That's pretty close. So what I want to do is I'm going to take and put a 1, 2, 3 block behind, and that way I can hold this straight up and down so I can draw a line around this bolster to get my thickness. And first thing I need to do is decide how thick I want it. So I need to put a mark on here at that thickness. And I'm just going to go at about 1 inch. I think that's going to be a good handle thickness or width or whatever you want to call it. So basically I just need to hold this flat down this way and then hold it against this 1, 2, 3 block on the back just to ensure that it's nice and square in all directions. This could be tricky. Oh, and that is still warm. So there's this line. Just got to draw a line on the back. Maybe. Okay, and then I just need to square that up. So here's where we're at. I've gotten the basic profile done. I need to clean this up in here because this is from squaring up this bolster. So we're square, we're centered on the knife, we're squared up top and bottom. Now it's basically time to start laying out where the keyhole is going to go. So for that I have this handy little circle guide that I've had for quite a while. It goes from might be from my high school drafting days, or no, this is probably a different one. Anyway, so I need to figure out the size of the hole I want, and it's probably going to be close to about 1/2 inch, I'm guessing. So first of all, to find the center of this, all I did was kind of eyeballed center with my height scribe, my height gauge, and I laid it down on the back, did some lines, and then laid it down on the front, did some lines, and you know, in between the two lines is going to be center. So I'm guessing I'm going to go with about 1/2 inch. So let me turn this so I can actually see it. I'm not entirely sure if that's the best size to go with. Let's see, maybe 9/16. Yeah, let's try 9/16. So there's just going to be a little bit of creativity wherever it feels like it's going to look the best. So I've got this centered between the lines. Just scribe my circle. And kind of feel like that's going to be good. Yeah, I think we're good there. And then the other thing is, I mean, should I go closer to the front? Should I go back more? I'm not entirely sure, but I think that probably looks good. I can go with that. So from here, then we need to decide where our little arcs are going to be to go out toward the keyhole. And I'm wondering if I can just plop something like this on there. Probably not. That would have to be a bigger circle, unless I want to end it right there, which I don't think I do. So let me put my square on here. That way we can scribe where it's going to end. And I think as close to here as possible. Like that. And then I think we want to keep some of the flat on the back side here. So I just set this for kind of like a random depth, and I'm going to put a line right there, and then come down and put a line right there. And that's going to be where this comes out to and then ends up going straight. That might be a little too much thickness. I don't know. I think it looks good. We're good there. So then the other thing I want to do is get where we're going to come out of this circle here. Maybe something like that. Maybe, so make a mark there. And then come to the other side, make a mark there. And so now we just basically need to connect that to that with a little bit of an arc. So grab another one of my drafting tools here. Maybe make a mark on this so that I can keep track of where I start this here. Maybe like that. So put that dot on there, meet those sides, just create a little arc right here, like that. And then I just need to get this lined up, get that down to that mark. Okay. I don't know. I think that looks okay. I mean, I've never done this before. I've seen these, but you know, who knows? I just wonder if I should go more in. I kind of feel like this needs to be closer to the inside here. You know, maybe starting here like this and coming out like that. Let's do that. Let's go a little deeper in this direction. Okay, we'll do that. That kind of looks good to me. We just need to follow these lines basically. So the next step, now that we've got this laid out, is I need to drill this hole. And I'm really hoping that I can get that centered. Let's see here. What do we do? 9/16. So 9/32 is going to be where that should be. Or the center should be. So I'm going to go up to 9/32 right there. Make a mark. That should be the middle, somewhere around there. And I may not have a 9/16 drill bit. I do not know. If I don't, then I've got to go buy one. So let's see if I can get this marked. Okay, this is all marked. Time to start drilling and cutting and then grinding. And I really hope after I get all that done and I do the heat treatment that it doesn't warp back there, because that would suck. Okay, we're already changing things up a little bit. I felt, as I got to looking at things, I felt that 9/16 was a little bit big. So here we are with a 1/2 inch. And I think 1/2 inch is going to be perfect. I mean, it might even be a little bit big. Who knows? Okay, so far so good. I got this hole drilled, and it actually came out pretty centered. I think it might be slightly off on the back side. Actually, I don't think it is, because it looks like it wasn't quite right in the middle of my hole. So I think we're good. I think I had that nice and squared up. So next step is I'm going to take and cut out these lines, or close to those lines, on the bandsaw. And then fingers crossed that it's soft enough that the bandsaw is going to go through it. See what happens. Okay, here we are. I've got this cut. Now what I want to do is basically refine these cuts right here. So I sprayed this again and I redrew the lines on here. And I had to kind of modify my platen backer. I removed the plate and just left the frame on here. And then on the other side, you can't see it, but I ground a groove so that it would fit all the way in here. So my goal is I made this as close to a 90-degree angle as I could. My goal is to stay nice and flat on here and then try to go in here and refine these just a hair. So again, fingers crossed. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 1, 2, 3 block. No, That probably isn't gonna work out so well for me. Actually, it's probably better than nothing, so we'll see what we can do. Alright, I didn't think this through so well. I feel like I need to grind this other side too. I'm not going to fit this back here. So I'm going to do this blind. I think that might be just right. All right, I think I got it. All right, I think that's going to wrap up this video. Just put a couple of these things away. All right, so here we go. There are a few things, obviously, that still need to be cleaned up, but the heat treat is next. I feel like this is going to work. My only concern is that this isn't perfectly straight through, if that makes sense. That this isn't perfectly, like, it might be candid a little bit, because when I go to put the handle material in there, I've somehow got to get it to fit and be tight on this side and be tight on this side. But we'll see what happens. I mean, right now this thing looks like a clothespin, so maybe these should be called clothespin integral bolsters. Anyway, this choil area needs to be cleaned up, all that, but that's totally fine doing after the heat treat. So heat treat, take this down to thickness, bevels, hand sanding, handle, all that good stuff. And I might actually have to look up the best technique for cutting out the handle to fit in here. I've done similar stuff and it never seems to fit right, but we'll get it figured out, I promise. Anyway, that concludes this video. Hopefully this was helpful to somebody, or hopefully this is fun to watch, entertaining to see. I don't know. It's fun to do. So I'd recommend doing one of these. Anyway, on that note, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.